One of the many things that we advise our clients on is how to manage attendance in the workplace, and absence levels is certainly something that has a huge impact on smaller organisations. One of the kind of key deterrents around that in the workplace is how to conduct a return to work interview, and it's one of the things that we do give advice on, and it's quite surprising the number of organisations who just don't do it. So quite often we will be asked a question around someone's attendance levels, they want to take some action, and one of the first things we'll kind of ask then is what was kind of said at the return to work interviews, and most cases we're kind of told that they haven't done it. So one of the things that we want to give some advice here in is how to actually conduct an effective return to work interview. What we need to be clear on is that the return to work interview isn't a disciplinary process. The purpose of conducting a return to work interview is really a few reasons, but one is to make sure that the individual is well enough to be back at work. So you're kind of welcoming the individual back to work and checking that they're fit and able to kind of be back in the workplace. You want to kind of carry out a review on their attendance, so kind of exploring the reasons why they've been off. If it's the first occasion they've been off, then there's perhaps not much you need to kind of cover on that meeting. However, if it's someone who's been off frequently, then your preparation is really important, and what you want to have to hand is a copy of their attendance record for the previous 12 months, any previous conversations you've had with them regarding their attendance levels, and you want to make sure that's kind of present at the meeting, because that will be things that you'll kind of refer to. Other points of the return to work interview is any further action that might be required. So if, for example, someone has exceeded your trigger points in your absence procedure, then you might want to be advising them of that at that point, and there might be some further action that might be required. But the other thing you want to be doing is also just updating the individual on any work priorities, so anything that they've missed whilst they've been off work. So that might be updating them on anything relating to customers, might be anything to do with price changes, product information, any updates within the team. Obviously, if they've just been off one day, then that's perhaps going to be pretty minimal. However, if they've been off kind of longer than that, then there's perhaps quite a few things that you need to kind of cover off with them. And the kind of final part of the return to work interview process is to make sure that it's documented, so you then have a kind of paper trail and a record of that conversation. So that demonstrates, that they've been off, what was covered in the meeting, and it just gives you some useful information to refer to at a later date should you need it. Quite often we will see scenarios where there might be a situation that warrants disciplinary action, and again, depending on the reasons for that absence, if you've not got that documented, it's quite difficult to then take some action at a later date. We've also seen some examples in other organisations where there's been a redundancy situation, and one of the factors in selection is around attendance. And again, if you don't have a record of that, then it's very, very difficult to make sure that you're actually selecting the correct people for redundancy. So that all has an impact. So, the record keeping is really important, and good practice is for both parties to sign that.